This Notebook LM video explores how the parable of the lost sheep was radically reinterpreted. The shepherd is a symbol of God's unconditional love, seeking out the lost with gentleness. As Christianity institutionalized, the lost sheep became a heretic. The shepherd's staff of care was replaced by coercion, torture, and even execution during the Inquisition.
You've probably heard the parable of the lost sheep, right? A shepherd leaves his 99 sheep to go find the one that wandered off. And when he finds it, there's this huge celebration. It's this beautiful story of love and redemption. But what happens when that story gets twisted? When the shepherd's crook is replaced by something much, much darker? That's the surprising and frankly challenging history we're going to get into.
So this is the big central question for us today. It's a real paradox. We're going to look at how one of the most compassionate stories ever told was, over time, reinterpreted to the point where it led to a reality that seems to be the exact opposite of what it meant in the first place.
All right, to really understand how dramatic this shift was, we have to start at the beginning. We need to go back to the parable's original promise, just as it was first told. Now, context is everything here. You got to understand, Jesus didn't just tell this story out of the blue. He was actually responding to the religious authorities of his time. They were giving him a hard time, criticizing him for eating with and welcoming people they considered sinners or outcasts. So the story was a direct shot at their exclusionary way of thinking.
The symbolism here is just so incredibly powerful. The shepherd, that's God, going after the one lost individual, the sheep. And the action, this is the key part. It is all about gentle restoration. The shepherd puts the sheep on his shoulders. He doesn't drag it or beat it. And the result? Pure, unadulterated joy. A celebration. And this line from the Gospel of Luke just hits the nail on the head. It totally captures the core message. All the value is placed on redemption, on the idea that every single person is worth pursuing, especially the one who got lost. The original promise here is all about unconditional restorative love. Simple as that. Okay, so hold that idea of gentle love in your head, because now we're going to jump forward a few centuries, and this entire story takes a sharp and honestly a pretty shocking turn. The lost sheep isn't just seen as lost anymore. Suddenly, it's seen as a danger. This timeline is absolutely critical to understanding how things changed so drastically. See, early Christianity started as this small, often persecuted faith, but then by the 4th century, boom, it becomes the official state religion of the Roman Empire. And with that kind of power, the lines between religious authority and government power started to get really blurry. That's what set the stage for things like the Inquisition.
And right here is where the definition of a lost sheep gets completely flipped on its head. A person who strayed from the official church teachings was now given a new label, heretic. And a heretic wasn't seen as a misguided soul who needed to be gently brought back. No, not at all. They were seen as a disease, a contagion that could infect and destroy the entire flock from within.
So this brings us right to the heart of the conflict, where we see these two completely different paths emerge for that one lost sheep. The path of compassion versus the path of coercion. I mean, just look at this comparison. The difference is night and day. The parable's shepherd seeks the one who strayed. The historical authorities hunted the one who dissented. The shepherd gently restores, the authorities imprisoned and tortured. The shepherd celebrates and rejoices, the authorities punished and executed. It is a profound, undeniable contradiction. And make no mistake, this path of punishment was systematic. This wasn't random. It started with official investigations. It led to imprisonment and having everything you owned taken away. It very often involved using torture to try and force you to renounce your beliefs. And for many who refused, it ended in a brutal public execution, most famously by being burned at the stake. So the big question is, why, right? How could this possibly happen? How do you get from a story about a loving shepherd to that? Well, this next part dives into the motivations behind this massive shift from compassion to control. At its core, it really boils down to this. The main goal was no longer about the merciful rescue of one person. The priority had shifted. Now, it was all about protecting the institution itself, enforcing orthodoxy, which just means correct belief, and maintaining total control became the new #1 job.
Now, they had their justifications for these brutal actions. They argued it was necessary to uphold the church's authority as the one and only source of truth. It was about protecting the rest of the flock from what they called dangerous ideas. And, believe it or not, they even argued they were saving the heretic's soul by force. It was also, pretty clearly, a tool for keeping social and political order.
And that brings us to our conclusion, where we're left grappling with this timeless problem, this tension between a pure ideal and the messy, complicated reality of human institutions.
When you boil it all down, this whole history is just a giant case study in that tension. On one side, you've got this foundational message of mercy and love for the lost, and on the other, you have the real-world actions of a powerful institution that's trying to maintain its power.
There's this idea that really sums it all up. It suggests that the real test of being faithful to an ideal isn't about how much power you can use to make everyone think the same. It's about how you treat the people on the margins, the ones who are different, the ones who disagree. It's a powerful thought that still resonates today.
And look, this isn't just a history lesson. It pushes us to ask a question that is incredibly relevant right now. When our powerful modern institutions, whether they're religious, political, or corporate, are faced with dissent, how do they respond? Do they act with the gentle, restorative spirit of the shepherd, or with the coercive force of the stake? It's a question that is just as vital today as it was 1,000 years ago.